Hello, Abnormal Investigations. It's good to see y'all. We had a good live, I think, for a Monday night, guys. We had a good conversation talking about the Riker Webb thing. I think that was a really good live. If you have not seen it, guys, I suggest you see it. Everybody said it was one of the best lives I've ever done, so check it out. It's a Riker Webb update's what it is. It says update on the front, and it'll have photographs of him on the thumbnail. Cabins are so creepy. I guess it's my fault, though, for letting myself get creeped out by something that's supposed to be a vacation getaway. But I can't help but think about the dozens of stories I've read online about creepy experiences at cabins. I can say for sure that I never thought I'd ever experience something myself. My friend Laura and I decided to go to my grandmother's cabin one weekend during the winter. The cabin was deep in the woods of North Dakota. It was a beautiful place. I often stayed here with my grandparents as a child. Now, I was in college, and it was time to relax after some pain-in-the-ass finals. The first night was exactly what I hoped it would be. We played video games, talked, and laughed. I spent the morning drinking coffee and reading a book on the couch. I wish I could spend every morning that way. It wasn't until that night that things got a little weird. "Hey, Melissa," Laura called to me as she walked inside. She had just gone to the gas station in my Jeep to get some cigarettes. "What's up?" I asked. When I walked around the corner, I noticed she had entered through the front door backwards, keeping her eyes on something just beyond the glass on the door. "Do you see it?" she murmured. I almost didn't hear her. I leaned over and looked out the living room window. All I saw was the snow-covered road that emerged from the woods and led up to the driveway. "I don't see it." Before I could finish, a tall, dark silhouette stepped from the tree line by the road onto the right onto the road itself. It had a long stride, and 2 steps it had crossed nearly onto the other side of the road. It stopped there. We could see it turning in every direction. "Who the hell is that?" You could hear her in confusion in Laura's voice. "I have no idea. There's no cabins anywhere close to here. That gas station is the closest thing to us, and it's a 20-minute drive out." My mind was reeling. Who was this guy just standing out in the driveway? The figure then turned back toward the tree line from which it had originated and took 2 long steps. It disappeared quickly into the woods. I threw on my jacket and boots without a word. Laura did the same. We have always been a curious pair. Fear always came second to our curiosity. Maybe that's why I can so easily read hours and hours of scary stories and books. Anyway, we stepped out onto the driveway and headed toward the beginning of the road that entered into the woods. The snow itself was at least 8 inches deep. As soon as I stood where that man was, before we called out to him like we had both silently planned to do, we saw the tracks on the ground. Yeah, these weren't human tracks. These were hooves. There were obvious hoof prints on the ground like a ram or a sheep had been walking around. We did not see anyone or anything but that man a few seconds ago. Unless he was walking a goat or something that was bleach white like the snow, there were no other animals out here. We looked at each other and quickly walked back inside. Together we sat on the couch and we warmed ourselves with the fireplace. The TV played MTV something or another, but we both couldn't help but feel a little odd. Eventually it escaped my mind as I was able to fall asleep pretty easily. Loud stomping forced me back to life. Thud, thud, thud. I couldn't make out where it was coming from, but it yanked me from my sleep. Droopy-eyed, I peeked out of the windows of my room. It snowed lightly outside, but I didn't see anyone out there. It must have been Laura stomping down the hall to get a glass of water. She had never been very light-footed. And then again, thud, thud, thud. The sound came again, and I knew immediately that the sound was not coming from within the house. Now, wide-eyed, I got up with my blanket and headed toward the living room. It must have been a full moon that night, because the window shone with quite a bit of light, enough that I could make out the details of the tree line through the windows. I stepped quietly into the living room. Laura was already there, kneeling behind the recliner with her face peeking over it. Before I could ask what the hell she was doing, a tall silhouette appeared behind the curtains of the window. Thud, thud, thud. Someone was on our porch. They walked back and forth from the door to the window over and over again. It looked like he was trying to peek through, trying to find a gap in the curtains. Instinctively, I darted over to the recliner and ducked next to Laura. "He's been there for at least an hour," she whispered to me, even though I doubt he could hear us. Mouth open, I watched in horror as the figure walked around our porch, stomping far too loudly that I thought possible. I figured the boots would have crunched with the snow. We didn't have an awning out there. Then he stomped back over the door and started pounding it with his fist. I'm not talking violent knocking. It was trying to break down the freaking door. I couldn't keep myself from shaking. And it wasn't from the cold. Suddenly the knocking stopped. That's when we heard the loudest, weirdest sounding scream. There's no way that was human. The scream literally lasted for the duration of a minute, 60 seconds at least, of some of the otherworldly screech. As quickly as it started, it stopped. No stomping, no screaming. All but the howling of the wind had become silent. We didn't go back to our rooms, and we didn't go to sleep. We sat there together, hunched over on the floor all night. As soon as daylight broke through those thankfully thick curtains, we packed up and left. No screaming, all but the howling of the wind. We didn't go back to our rooms, and we didn't go to sleep. We sat there together, hunched in the floor all night. As soon as daylight broke through those thankful, thick curtains, we packed up and left. I have no idea what we saw out there, but there were hundreds of hoof prints on our porch. The thing that had looked through the window, it looked like a ram's head with horns. There wasn't a single human footprint in the snow outside, except for the hoof prints that had walked onto our porch and around the house. I don't know what the hell this thing is, and if anybody out there does, we would sure love to know if anyone else has ever had an encounter with a creature like this. Again, one of the bridges I'm going to be going to is where my mom and her family had an encounter. The thing walked across the bridge on hooves and appeared to have horns and mimicked a goat. This bridge has been shut down now for many years. It's on a dead-end road. It's I think parts of it actually fell in, that's why they closed it. I will be going there on an investigation and try to see if we can get an encounter. It looks like I will probably be the only person probably to go to this place. But I'm going to work on trying to maybe get a drone to fly down there, because I know that we could get a good look if we could get a drone down there. And plus my mom was there when she was a child, and my granny and everybody, so it'll have good memories with me visiting the location also. I may do a daytime in, a dark out, or since I'm not familiar with that area like I am these other areas, I may just do a daytime to familiarize myself, and then go back in the evening and wait till dark and then come out. But I want to do it a safe way, but I also want to get a day and nighttime feel for this area. Thanks everybody for watching. Please hit the like button. It helps so much. Leave a comment. If you haven't subscribed, I'd like to invite you to subscribe. Ring the bell and select all to get all of our latest content uploads, and also to get notifications of our lives every Saturday night at 9 o'clock p.m. I think is what we're going to be moving to. So thank you so very much, guys, and until next time, keep your head on a swivel, don't be something's dinner, and we'll see you on the next one.